Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. Going to be listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast in our 20th year. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for 6 decades. I've been doing great things for folks in San Diego County, whether it's the arts or it's Alzheimer's or, you name it. Homeless, they're heavily involved feeding the folks. We have a huge food insecurity issue in San Diego County. They're heavily involved working with groups like the San Diego Food Bank as well. But we are so honored to have a return appearance. Our friends from the San Diego Humane Society, Autumn Welch, is the Wildlife Operations Manager. How you doing, Autumn?
Good morning. How are you?
Good. How long have you been working with the Humane Society and specifically in your job?
So I've been at the Ramona Wildlife Center for about 4 years now. I've been in the animal welfare and husbandry field, taking care of wildlife for about 35 years.
So were you here in San Diego? Were you in other parts of the country doing it? What were you doing?
Both.
Okay.
I've worked at the San Diego Zoo Safari Park almost 20 years.
Okay.
But I've also worked in Mexico, Wisconsin, kind of a variety of places with animals.
All with animals. Why wildlife, which is a little bit different than what I love the fact that the Union Tribune covers so much stuff you guys are doing, whether it's taking care of coyotes. Don't you have a bear up there as well?
We have 2 bears.
Two bears. I'm sorry. I don't want to give you a short on that one there. So 2 bears. What other type of exotic animals do you have?
So currently this is our baby season. Lots of wildlife babies coming in.
Okay.
So we have black bears, coyote pups, bobcat kittens, lots of owls coming in right now, red-tailed hawks, red-shouldered hawks. We get in falcons, eagles, quite a variety of the meso and apex predators that are found here in San Diego.
So what's an apex predator?
Basically, the top predators, we get in mountain lions, and they are one of the top predators in all of California. And we're one of only 2 facilities in California that can rehab mountain lions. Right.
And so you guys are in Ramona. Obviously, you must have a pretty big space because there's a lot of animals up there, right? How big is your footprint up there?
We are 13 acres,
okay,
and a good majority of it is dedicated just to the rehab of the wildlife, but we also have ambassadors. Those are animals that were either confiscated from situations where they were living illegally or animals that were not releasable back to the wild. So they help us do our outreach and inspire compassion for wildlife.
Yeah, I think, when people learn more about what you folks do, and I think we had one of your colleagues on recently, I don't think it was you, but we're talking about, even though humans want to do the right thing, so if they see a bird or someone that is, looks like they're in stress, they may not be in stress, right? They may be just hanging out waiting for the mom or dad to come back. Am I explaining this correctly?
You are. This is our baby season, and what we see, and we get a lot of calls, are babies that are found on the ground or in places that you wouldn't expect them to be. And our community here loves wildlife and they want to help. They have great intentions. Sometimes the babies are not exactly orphaned. Their parents may be out hunting, gathering food. Right. Sometimes they're birds learning to fly, and when they first start fledging from the nest, they're a little clumsy, end up on the ground sometimes. But if the parents are still caring for them, we will sometimes recommend leaving them there. Of course, if anyone is concerned for the health or safety of that animal, sometimes birds can fall out of nests that are 90 feet up. So
Right.
they occasionally can get injuries. So, if anyone's uncomfortable, we just tell them, bring them on in. We're happy to take a look. We do have a re-nesting and reuniting program. So it's specifically for raptors right now. So when we get in a baby great horned owl, for instance, barn owl, red-tailed hawk, we'll do a little nest investigation and see if the conditions are right. We can put the baby back. So for people who aren't sure whether to bring in the wildlife or not, call is the easiest thing.
Or take a picture then and call or text or whatever. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Pictures help us a lot. We have a dedicated resource center team that can talk people through the next steps. We also have it's called the Wildlife Help Hub on our website, and people can go and look up what type of animal they found or potentially what they should do. It'll take you through a series of questions and help you determine whether to bring it into us or not.
Right. And no, I think, and of course, this is in the DNA of anyone that works in your space, of course, and that is truly understanding that we need to coexist, with these folks, The earth is both of ours, not ours only and not theirs only. We have to coexist in this aspect of it. Listen, I live in an area where there's a lot of coyotes, Rancho Penasquitos, as you know, snakes and bobcats are bouncing around every once in a while. We've had a mountain lion in the backyard, and so forth. But the bottom line is, don't hurt them. Don't do anything. Report them if you need to. I mean, mountain lions, certainly are predators on that. Talk about how we are as a county, as a city, and learning and understanding how important it is to coexist with the animal life.
Sure. I live in Rancho Penasquitos, too. So,
oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah, so we see a lot of wildlife.
We do. What area are you in? I'm in the Park Village area.
Nice. Not far at all.
Okay.
Right off of Black Mountain.
Of course.
Twin Trails.
Know exactly where you are. Exactly.
Yeah, so we are very lucky to live in such a biologically diverse area here in San Diego. We have so many different animals, and as humans continue to take up wild spaces in San Diego, we have growth all over the place, new housing, new developments that are constantly challenging animals and, making them have to make decisions. Should I stay and try to live amongst the humans? Should I try to find a new territory? And we're just making it harder and harder for them. So we have a responsibility to peacefully coexist and do what we can to keep them in the wild and learn to live alongside each other. When wolves disappeared from California, thanks to humans, coyotes really started expanding and their population grew quite a bit. And they are a fairly adaptable animal. They can be neophobic, where they're afraid of new things, but for the most part, they figure out how to live amongst us. And I think it's great when you see a coyote in your neighborhood. Of course, keep your pets safe, keep them on leashes. But
100%.
50% of a coyote's diet is rodents. So they're helping get rid of the rats, the mice, the gophers, squirrels, different animals that can take over if their population gets too high. So it's actually a good thing when you do see animals like coyotes around. This particular time of year, it is their pupping season. So generally they mate around January, February, start having babies around April, May, June. And so we're seeing them a lot more active now. Parents are teaching the pups how to hunt and, to explore a little bit outside the den. So we have a responsibility to learn how to coexist with them. There's actually some legislation, thanks to Senator Blakespeare. It's a brand new legislation that is aimed at teaching people how to coexist with wildlife and allocating millions of dollars to support programs that will help educate the communities. It's more science-based and a humane way to live with wildlife. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, there's no question about that. We're chatting with Autumn Welch. She is a wildlife operations manager for the San Diego Humane Society. I'm Drew Schlosberg with Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest running community podcast podcast brought to you by the fine folks of Mission Fed Credit Union. Been doing wonderful things with people living in San Diego County for more than 60 years. When we come back from break, I want to talk about the Monrovia bear cubs, okay, that you folks are taking care of as well. And as you know, or maybe Gary has told you, we always save time in the second half of the interview. What can we do to support your efforts? Okay, I think some of it is quite obvious. Understand how to coexist with life and all that. Certainly take advantage of the Wildlife Help Hub as well. But if you think of some other things as well, we return with our conversation with Autumn Welch of the Wildlife Operations Manager for the San Diego Humane Society. We'll be right back after this short break.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media, listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. Always a pleasure when we have on our friends from the San Diego Humane Society. We have one of Wildlife Operations Manager, Autumn Welch, in the house with us today, talking mainly about how we need to be coexisting with wildlife. Not such a statement that people shouldn't quite understand, but it's during birth season, so to speak, right? Is this season where we're in now more babies are being born than any other time of the year, or because they start the mating a while ago, or not?
Yeah, generally in springtime is where the majority of wildlife babies are born. Some have couple of litters a year, but for the most part, most of the wildlife in San Diego gives birth at this time, or is giving birth around winter, and then in spring we see them coming out.
Is that all types of wildlife? All types of birds, coyotes, you name it. Reptiles, I guess, I don't know.
Generally, it's most types of wildlife. Lucky for us, this is our baby season, so we're very busy, but lucky for us, it is a little staggered. So we usually start seeing the opossum babies and skunks first, and then it kind of transitions into coyotes, bobcat kittens, and then bears, mountain lions. And then the raccoons are last. We start seeing them through the summer, and they stay in care actually all through the fall. And usually we are saying goodbye to our last raccoon around January. So it does help us that the wildlife is a little staggered in when they're.
So when you say saying goodbye to the raccoon, okay, where does the raccoon go?
So what we do at the Ramona Wildlife Center, we accept in the wildlife. We then rehabilitate them if they need it, if they're injured or sick. If they're just orphaned, we care for them and teach them life skills best we can.
Right.
And then when they're old enough or big enough, we return them to the wild.
Okay, and any specific place? Or is it like out in East County? Is it in North County? Is it out in the desert? Where?
That's a really good question.
Yeah.
It depends on the species.
Yeah.
With raptors, we really try to get them back to where they were found.
Right.
Usually within a 2-mile radius, they'll go back to that area. With some of the animals that get into more conflict with people, or we rehabilitate them in larger groups, like coyotes, raccoons, for instance, we go pretty far east into San Diego County. We really try to look at remote locations. We've been very fortunate that not only the county parks have been helping us out with various remote places,
Right.
but we've actually been working with the San Diego River Park Foundation.
Okay.
They have quite a bit of land in like Julian, Descanso,
Sure.
some really remote places, and so we'll coordinate with them and release animals on their preserves.
Right. So talk about these Monrovia bear cubs that came to you folks in March of this year, just a couple months ago, and were they big, small cubs? What would they look like?
So, yes, we received the Monrovia bear cubs on March 15th.
Right.
It was a little bit of a sad situation. Their mother was giving birth under someone's house in Monrovia, and so she set up her den for these cubs there. And the community knew her, but she was getting into conflict with people, and unfortunately there were a couple public safety incidences. So they made the difficult decision to humanely euthanize her, and then brought her cubs to us that same day. And they were pretty little. They were about 3 pounds or so. 3
Oh
or
my
4,
goodness!
like just
How many days old were they?
Most bears give birth in January, so they were about 2 months old.
And they were only 3 pounds? Mm-hmm. Did they? Wow.
Yeah,
I would have thought they'd grow faster. They do not, obviously.
Yeah, they don't. We usually have bears in care, sometimes up to about 15 months.
Interesting.
They take a long time to mature and be big enough to go back out on their own. So they were little. They were still nursing off mom. So honestly, one of the biggest challenges was to teach them how to drink formula out of a bowl. We actually tried bottles, but they were like, "No, you're not my mom."
Right,
So
right.
we ended up having to spoon feed them some formula and a little bit of the gruel. We started teaching them how to eat solid foods mixed in with the milk. And because they were so little and dependent on their mom at the time, we decided to become bears ourselves. So we basically dressed up in costume. We had to humble yourself in this job.
100%.
You
don't have to dress up as a snake anytime, do you?
No, they're
Not
pretty
yet.
good.
Okay, all right.
But they don't care.
Right.
But the bears, they're so impressionable. They're so social and smart.
Right.
So what we did was we put on bear masks. We got online. We put on fur coats that the community has donated to us. Most people don't wear furs anymore.
They don't. That's right.
We get in these coats and we're able to, give the feel of fur to them. And then we work with the sanctuary in Alpine, lions, tigers, and bears, and they actually gave us the hay. Yeah, they have a few black bears. They gave us the bear-scented hay that we rubbed all over our coats, and so we smelled like bears too.
Oh my goodness! And so obviously it worked, right? And so you're still doing that? How long do we have to do that for?
So we did it for about a month and a half until they were eating solids on their own. They weren't face planting into the formula. When they were first arrived, they were so clumsy. They didn't know what they were doing, but they had each other. We didn't necessarily need to play with them or interact with them beyond teaching them how to eat. So we were able to phase ourselves out of sharing space with them about 2 weeks ago or so.
How big are they now?
They're about 15-ish pounds, 20 pounds.
Okay, so they've
they've put on quite a bit of weight.
And how long will they be with you? You think another maybe 10 months? Hard to say?
It's hard to say. Last year, the Department of Fish and Wildlife decided to release the bears in the fall. That was the first time they had done a fall release, so they were released around October. Normally in the past, they release bears around spring, summer, like May or June. So we're not sure yet if they're going to want to release these bears before the winter hits or after.
So how would they survive? They don't have mom, obviously. They're not going to be that big, correct?
Correct.
So what happens? I mean, you drop them off in Sequoia or whatever, Yosemite. Hopefully not in our backyard in Penasquitas, right?
Right. We take them pretty far.
Yeah, thank you. If I see one in the backyard, I'm calling Autumn. I'll find you on Twin Trails. But can they? Obviously, you're not going to let them go if they're going to be in harm's way. But they can take care of themselves even at that young age.
Some of their instincts start pretty early. For instance, they know instinctively how to climb to a top of a tree when they think there's danger in the area. We see that pretty early on.
Interesting.
But the mom also would be encouraging them to go up in the trees if need be. Every day we try to do different enriching experiences that'll teach them life skills. So, for instance, we moved them to an outdoor den this week, and what we did is...
in Ramona, correct?
In Ramona, yeah. It's an outdoor habitat where
Yeah.
they can develop those life skills. So now we're going to start teaching them how to look for bugs, hiding different insects in logs, in dirt, so they actually have to dig and pull the wood off to find the food that they would be foraging for in the wild. Our team at the Ramona Wildlife Center is amazing. Not only do we take care of the animals, but we also take care of native plants all over property.
I did not know that.
We harvest those plants and give them to the animals, whether it's for food. The bears, we have mulberries right now on property, so we've been picking the mulberries, teaching them how to look for branches that would have those berries in the wild, and basically looking at every day, what would mom be teaching them and what can we do for them?
Yeah, that's quite a deal you guys have up there. What is the most exotic animal that has come across the Ramona Wildlife Center? I mean, is it like an alpaca or is it a ring-tailed skink? Probably not. And what is the biggest animal?
Well, our biggest animal, she's still at the Ramona Wildlife Center, is our pygmy hippo, Hannah Shirley.
I remember it.
She's 52 years old. She broke the record for the oldest pygmy hippo in managed care ever.
And she'll stay there till, okay.
This is her forever home.
How long will she live?
Well, being 52, she's surpassed every other hippo. So she, and she's great. She's full of sass and just living her best life. So she is an example of one of the confiscated animals that came to us because she was in a situation she shouldn't be.
Right.
As far as the most exotic, I would say either badgers. A few years ago, we have badgers here in San Diego. A lot of people don't know that.
I did not know that.
And they live pretty
Did they come from you from Wisconsin? Is that what? Not quite.
That's where you think of badgers being, but no, we do have them here.
Interesting.
And then right now, actually, we have a long-tailed weasel in care, a little baby that came in that was orphaned. And we don't see weasels too often. We do have them here in San Diego, but they also are pretty elusive and not spotted too often.
How much of those come from actually residents living in the county? Boy, I've never seen this before. Or they're coming from other places, like I said, they have to be rescued because they're in a situation they shouldn't be in. Is it half and half or mainly more on the other side?
It's mostly from residents that just happen to find these babies and want to help or find an injured animal. The majority of, for instance, the mountain lions we get in are because they were hit by car. It's almost always either the mom was hit by car and the cubs were orphaned, or the cubs were hit by car. And so we've done some pretty complex surgeries, repaired legs, repaired jaws, and then work with them and get them back to the wild.
Yes, they do the surgeries up there, as you know, in our area. So I saw a deer recently, about 3 months ago. They're still in the area, as you know. Do they just hang out in the Rancho Penasquitas Canyon? Where are they living when we see them every once in a while crossing the street?
Mountain lions can have pretty big territories.
And this was a deer.
Oh, and the deer, and that's their number one food.
Okay.
Yeah. The mule deer we see here in San Diego, again, they just try to look for habitat that's suitable, that has food. And they're also pretty adaptable animals. So, we have them in the canyon.
Right.
There's quite a population in Escondido, Valley Center, and in the remote areas. So that's why part of the reason mountain lions have such a big territory, they really want to span a large space to look for deer, rabbits, things like that.
Yeah, what is their range, mountain lions' range?
It can be on average about 100 miles.
Right. And is it 1 per 100 miles? Or if it's more than that, then they get in fights? Is that what happens?
We're starting to see more overlap than there used to be because of human population expanding into wild spaces. We're seeing more overlap. On the occasion, there's been evidence, camera trap evidence of even males coming around and sharing watering holes with females and cubs and things that you wouldn't have seen in the past.
Right. So what can we do, Autumn, our listeners, to support this amazing work you guys do up at the Ramona Wildlife Center?
Thank you for asking.
Yeah.
So we do rely on donations. We are a nonprofit, and anyone that wants to help, we greatly appreciate that. Specifically for the Monrovia bear cubs, if you go to our website, there is a special link where you can donate specifically to them.
Nice.
Which is nice. And then we have a lot of materials on our website that help educate people about the wildlife, the health hub like we talked about, and also just how to coexist. So it's all there to learn as much as you can about how to help, and we really appreciate our supporters.
Well, listen, the San Diego Humane Society, as you heard me say earlier, there's no place like it. This region tends to have a great human-animal bond. Gary's very proud of that, and all the folks that work in your space as well. We know certainly that the Humane Society is just overloaded with animals, to say the least. Not necessarily the Ramona Wildlife Center. Maybe you guys are as well. So really encourage people to take a look, see what they can do to support all of your efforts. I know it would be impossible to bring the pygmy, hippo coming into here. Gary has allowed us, when we've done remotes in your neck of the woods on Napa Street, to have some animals that are in studio. They tend to be the highlight of the show. Not listening to me, I'll tell you that right now. But is the public probably not welcome up at Wildlife, because Ramona Wildlife Center, just because of the work you have to do, correct?
Yes and no. So at this time of year,
Yeah.
we generally are only open to the public if they're bringing us animals into rehab. But in the off season, when we're not as full of babies, we have offered some public tours.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Usually a couple times a month, people can go on our website and sign up, and mostly see the ambassador animals, see how we take care of the wildlife, learn more about what we do. But in order to keep the animals in rehab wild, we try to keep people away from them best we can.
Right, and that would happen in the fall, those occasional tours. Mm-hmm. Will we see the pygmy hippo or not?
It depends. Hannah, she has her own mind, and she sometimes likes to make an appearance and sometimes not. She's a pretty food-motivated animal, though. All
right. Well, listen, I might have to make hopefully Hannah will be out there when I make it out. Autumn Welch, thank you so much. The content that you folks are always sharing, whether it's the Ramona Wildlife Center or just in the Humane Society, is just so beneficial for our listeners. This won't be the last time that you'll be on the show, because next time I talk to you, you'll probably have some other animals that are strolling through that you'll be working with, and wishing you and Gary and everybody that at the Humane Society and the Ramona Wildlife Center nothing but great success moving forward.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
That's absolutely our honor. I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. I've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, the nation's longest running community podcast. Now in our 20th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, 6 decades of doing great things for people living in San Diego County. And to our audience, we hope you enjoyed the interview.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.